Welcome to an episode of Grifters with Potion, presented by Frog Tony. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at a Russian agent, a double agent maybe, I don't know, I'll let you decide. Now first of all, this is just meant to have fun, just messing around. He's not a double agent, well at least I don't know. I don't think so, because who would want to recruit this guy? But then again, he is doing a lot of damage, at least on Twitter. What I'm talking about is Comrade Grummz. There was an article of him on RT, a Russian-sponsored news outlet. And essentially this article was a love letter to Grummz and all he's doing. Now, one of the most interesting things is that the author of this article is anonymous, but supposedly is written by a high-profile game journalist who wishes to remain anonymous. Now, think of any high-profile journalist out there, just any of them. Jason Schreier, Jeff Grubb, Talo Totilo. Just think of any of the high-profile, any of them. Just think of any, not even a high-profile one. And do you think they're gonna write an article about Grummz saving video games? Especially the way the Grummz, Smash JT, Hypnotic, the rest of them talk about journalists? But this person claims to be a high-profile one, like someone who writes for IGN or Bloomberg or Forbes. But we all know that all those people have gripes with them. So that claim that is written by a high-profile journalist falls flat completely, at least in my eyes. So given that we don't know who actually wrote it, means anybody could have written it. It could have been Grummz, could have been Smash JT. He was fancying himself a journalist before he got caught up. Who knows? It could be one of the journalists that the Real Game Awards nominated recently. It could be John F. Trent, who writes for Fandom Post. He's a journalist. So that alone is already the first sign. I mean, if you're gonna write an article, stand by your words. Otherwise, you're a coward. What's the point? Another interesting thing is the theme of this article focuses on Grummz gripes. The stuff that he usually just cries about on Twitter. Like, just down the line. Talking point after talking point after talking point. So let's go over some of this stuff. Now you tell me if this sounds like Grummz to you. Before the culture war dominated so much of our lives, Mark Kern, aka Grummz, was already an important figure within the realms of gaming. Consider him the Greek god of the sky, for he raised multiple titans. Oh, come on, what an opening, man. That's one way to give somebody like he's a titan among gaming. So important. An important figure. And it goes on to touch about all the stuff Grummz has been crying about. Military shooters like Call of Duty proudly feature trans flags and other gen-bending propaganda. And we all know Grummz been hating on those trans bullets for so long. Man, he hates Call of Duty. Not only Call of Duty, but veterans. He wants to end the endowment for veterans that Call of Duty has. It's a grant that helps them find jobs. But Grummz hates Call of Duty so much that he wants to get rid of that. In far too many games to count, female characters are intentionally made ugly. And of course, they gotta talk about the ugly stick that the developers have, making female game characters so ugly. Just recently, they fixed Siri. Didn't you guys hear? She was ugly at first when they had the reveal trailer, but then when they showed her just recently, she looks perfectly fine. Even though they didn't change anything. No, it's just lighting and expressions. Consulting groups like Sweet Baby Inc. are brought in to dictate changes in the name of exclusivity. Of course, they gotta touch on Sweet Baby Inc. This wouldn't be a Grummz article if we didn't touch on all the DEI and wokeness that Sweet Baby Inc. has been infusing into all our games, just taking over. Over the past several years, he has gone all in on fighting back, spending hours on social media calling out injustices and inadequacies where he sees fit. In doing so, he has caused a number of woke games to financially stumble or fail, while also helping titles untainted by DEI like Black Myth Wukong and Stellar Blade find massive success. That is right! Because of Grummz bitching on Twitter, he caused massive success for Wukong and Stellar Blade. Wukong, 7 million Chinese people buying it, wasn't it? It was because of Grummz. And Stellar Blade being a massive hit. Wait, it wasn't a massive hit. I think it struggled to reach 1 million. What the hell is this article talking about? Grummz, Come on now. But also taking the credit for DEI games failing? No, not the bad writing. It's not the unreasonable demand to sell millions upon millions of copies. It's not the predatory practices they put in their games. It was all Grummz. Him screaming on Twitter changed the landscape when it comes to games. Detractors giddily share gifs of him being beaten with hammers. Now, one of the biggest gripes that Grummz has had on Twitter is that they allow him to be beaten by hammers. There's memes and gifs going around. He sees it as violence, an attempt on his life. And of course, they have to end it with a love letter to Elon Musk. As Musk loves to proclaim, DEI kills art, and Grummz is how we bring it back to life. Now, first of all, none of those two fools are artists. None of them. DEI, how does that kill art? Diversity kills art? Inclusivity kills art? Come on, man. That sentence just doesn't make sense. And this guy's supposed to be one of the smartest people in the world, especially when you look at the type of art that Grummz produces. This is bringing back art? Grummz hasn't been able to deliver on a demo for over 8 years that was supposed to cost $20,000, but he raised over $500,000. Where did all that money go? It didn't go to any art that I see. Now, as you can see, this article is pretty much just a love letter to Grummz. And Grummz says that he was not contacted for this story, so he says it's not him. But it definitely sounds like him because it hits all the damn points that he cries about on Twitter all day. It doesn't have any proof on how he actually has influence over any DEI policies out there. No correlation, nothing. It's all just illusion of grandeur. But there's one last thing. Don't let us forget that RT is a state propaganda channel of the Russian Federation. And anything you read on there should be taken with a grain of salt, especially when the author doesn't want to reveal who they are. But one thing that I find surprising is that these right-wing grifters, these culture warriors, are trusting stuff they read on RT. Not only do they trust it more than any outlet in the United States. John Rose. RT is an interesting one. They have some good articles and are more reliable than the USA-funded Associated Press, that's for sure. Again, preferring Russian state propaganda over United States propaganda. Sounds like anti-Americanism to me. Now, I'm not saying to trust our mass media here in the United States either, because a lot of them are bought by billionaires and run by corporations. But when has it become so popular and okay to be anti-American in the right-wing circles? Because when we're talking about preferring Russian propaganda over American propaganda, you're definitely anti-American to a certain degree. Because at least in the United States, we do have free independent media. Citizen journalists, as you would say. And when you remove all the little crappy ones like Smash JT, John Trent, John Rose, and so on, and you get to the actual street journalists, that is something that Russia doesn't have, can't have. Justin. What's really crazy is that I trust Russian-sponsored propaganda more than I do US-sponsored propaganda at this point. At least they know what's the difference between men and women. Yeah, that's really crazy. Backing up Russian state propaganda. Backing up any propaganda is crazy. But these are the kind of guys that we're dealing with. Craziness, nothing but craziness everywhere. Grummz, probably writing articles about himself on a Russian state propaganda site. I don't know. It's only speculation out there. I mean, it's anonymous. It could be anybody. But the thing that I found funny was everybody else standing by the Russian state propaganda. Standing by any type of propaganda. Especially the way that they just keep on talking about mass media all the time. And like, they can't be trusted. But yet when it's a Russian one, they trust it. I mean, I don't know what to say. Except that it doesn't sound like they love their country very much. But they definitely love Grummz. I'm going to leave it right there. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Remember, always be kind to yourself and enjoy your life. And I'll meet you right there. Peace.